Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to discuss how did I actually become disabled. I know I speak a lot about my disability and that I was born with a disability, but how did I actually become disabled and what has it been like for me from when I was born up until now? As always, make sure to like and save this video for later so you can watch it for later. And as always, I want to build a community. So let me know where you're dialing in from. What part of the world do you have a disability? Do you have any friends with a disability as well that you want to know more information about? All these things are very important because these videos are not only here for your benefit, but for the benefit of other people as well. So all that feedback and the more community feel it is, the better it is for everybody that is involved. But without further ado, guys, let's get into the crux of this video. So how was I actually born with a disability? And a disability or being born with one can come in many avenues and many aspects as well. How I was born with a disability is through premature birth. So I was born at 26 weeks of birth, compared to that of an able-bodied child is usually born at 37 weeks. So I was quite early. And how I was so early was because I just decided I wanted to come out, and the same with my twin brother as well. And to give you a bit of perspective, I was born in the December of 97. I was supposed to be born in the April of 1998. So I was quite early in terms of coming out. And because of that and a lack of oxygen, that is what precipitated my disability and how I became disabled and had cerebral palsy. And it's because of being born so prematurely that when I was born, as an infographic will now show in a cartoon, I was comparable to the size of a pen itself. So if you placed me in your hand and the size of a pen at birth, myself and the pen were exactly the same size. And I weighed the same as a half a kilo of margarine itself. And that is not to give you a sense of scale or comparison. That is to tell you and to show you how I actually became disabled itself, or how my disability came about. And with my disability, it wasn't from day one. From when I was born, I had to be put in an incubator for up to 30 days to help me to breathe. And because of that, all those signs of growth that you would normally expect in an able-bodied baby or child were not present in me. So all those milestones at 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year, those milestones gradually over time I kept on missing, or I was too slow to get to them. And it was only in the 3rd month of my life that my parents, they went to a GP. As I was born in South Africa, they went to a doctor and they asked the doctor essentially, what is wrong with my child? He's not meeting his milestones, etc., etc. And because of that, they diagnosed me with cerebral palsy, or more specifically, the scientific name is spastic diplegia. And the reason I state that is cerebral palsy can take on a plethora and a variety of forms. It's not a one-size-fits-all or a tick box kind of disability itself. And with that, there is no cure for cerebral palsy itself. There's no injection or anything I can take to magically to cure me or to make me able-bodied. So that is something I have to live for with the rest of my life. However, later on in the video, we will discuss why I'm actually so positive about my disability and what I think the future it holds for me. But coming back to being born with cerebral palsy itself, it has brought its challenges, the physical side from an obvious point of view, the cognitive side, but also the mental side. And the reason I state all those things is not only a physical impairment, I would class it as a mental impairment as well, because I have to exert a certain amount of mental fortitude and capacity to daily movements, be that through walking or through cooking or through doing a bunch of housework or just to maintain a steady day job itself. And that mental load, it leads to fatigue, and it often leads to sickness as well due to my compromised immunity. So that is essentially how I was born with the disability I have now. It has had its struggles growing up, but there has been a lot of triumphs. And that brings me nicely on to why I'm actually so positive about my disability, but disability in general. And the reason being is I always state and I always say, specifically in my TikTok videos, I was born into a world that was not catered for me or meant for me. And what I mean by that, I mean that I was born into a world that was catered for the able-bodied person. So the person who can physically move around, who's cognitively in most times they're fine, who is mechanically able to do things. I was born into that world where there's no rule book or no set of rules on how to operate as a disabled person. You just have to constantly adapt. And that sense of adaptability is why I'm so positive. Because growing up, my parents, they're obviously so, and I don't blame them, they did not have many aspirations for me, considering my disability, my lack of milestones I generated or I achieved comparative to that of a normal baby or able-bodied baby itself. So my parents did not have many aspirations for me, being brutally honest. But that being said, I always made sure to try my best to challenge the status quo and to maintain a sense of positivity. And it's not only a sense of positivity for myself, from myself, it's a sense of positivity for others as well, to not only show them that anything is capable, but also to show them to not allow your barriers or your background or where you were actually born to be a barrier to entry for actually achieving anything you want to at the end of your day. And this is not another motivational video for you. This video is stating obviously how I came to be being disabled itself, but why I also maintain a sense of positivity. And I maintain a sense of positivity as well from other people. I feed off other people in terms of their energy and their outlook. I have a lot of friends who are disabled and their disabilities are far worse than me, being they are paraplegics either through accidents or through birth, and a lot of them are wheelchair bound, but they themselves hold down a normal day job, or they run a business, or they have a family, or whatever those normal kinds of aspirations for life. You may say that, oh, as an able-bodied person, of course I'm going to achieve everything. Well, having a disability, you can absolutely achieve everything, but it may take longer for you, or there may be more obstacles for you because you're dealing with a double whammy of constantly trying to understand your disability, as it's not a static one. It's constantly fluid and it changes dependent on your environment or your age or your upbringing itself. So maintaining a sense of positivity, not only for you, but for those around you, your parents specifically, your siblings, and if you have a partner, a wife, a husband, or whatever it may be, or kids itself, for you as well. I take it there is no cure. For those who are watching it, there is no cure for your disability. But I ask you this question to wrap up the positivity and why I'm so positive. If there was a cure for your disability or your impairment, knowing what you know now, would you actually take that injection or that tablet, or are you happy or are you satisfied from what you have achieved within your life and how it has turned out? And if not, would taking a magical injection for yourself, would it actually change anything? It may change it physically, but mentally, if you're not there in a positive aspect, or you're not there for yourself in order to, I can actually achieve anything I want to, and the only barriers are my head and my mindset, then will that injection change for you? And that brings me on to the last part of the video, guys, and that is, what does the future actually hold for me as a disabled person? I'll be honest, I don't know. But what I do know is through my outlook and through the goals and the aspirations I have for myself, I'm hopeful it is a bright future. And the reason I say that so passionately is due to my past. I've achieved things that many people have thought would either be impossible or would not be able for me to achieve, such as I live with my brother in a different part of the UK compared to my parents. I hold down a job. I have my own income as well. I'm looking to buy a property itself. I want to in future also to meet a partner and to start a family itself. In terms of the physical side of disability, I want to maintain my disability as is. Will my disability get marginally better? I don't know. It might, and I'm hopeful it will, but we don't know the future. But if I can maintain the way I am in the present, and I can maintain my outlook, and I can maintain how I want things to go, or I think they are going to go, then that itself, it will lead to a pretty bright future for me. And that brings me back to the point as we wrap up this video, that having a sense of fear as a disabled person, you should inherently have no fear. I state that because just think back to the things you have achieved in the last 5 or 10 years, worth the time lag or the lag of time in life itself, that other people stated or thought, oh, you're never able to achieve. And because you've achieved it, you had a sense of fear, you overcame it. So if you are having doubts or there are fears for you to the future, just go forward and try things. It's through trying things and growing your self-confidence for yourself at the end of the day that you will have all these abilities and think, well, it's not actually too bad, or I'm managing, or maybe I need to change my environment or my setup or who I hang around with for me to actually to live my best existence as best as possible for me, so that I'm able to live a life that is fruitful for me and potentially for my family or whoever it may be at the end of the day for me. So that it brings us to the end of this video, guys. As always, do let me know your thoughts in the comments, where you're dialing in from. If you have any questions in terms of any topics you want me to cover specifically, any videos you want me to do, anything you want me to go over, I do have free guides that are linked in the description on how to discover your disability superpower, as well as do check out the videos part 1 and part 2 of my full course tutorial, how to discover your disability superpower, as well as the next video here, which will talk about your disability actually only depends on your perspective and your outlook, and that is it. And that is all it depends on. But thanks as always, guys, for watching. I hope it was useful to you. I'm sure it was. Take care, stay well, ignore the naysayers, and I will see you in another video. But cheers and thanks as always, guys. Bye.